might have mentioned that Maxime Crépeau, Alphonso Davies, the biggest questions. That's not to say it's an extensive list of questions. You think of Kyle Larin, you think of Jonathan David. Goals from those players. My goodness, the two most successful in this program's history, 69 between them. They were invisible at times in Edmonton, and we'll be hoping for a different story tonight against the boys in green. The boys in green also wear white tonight. They will defend the goal to the left side of your screen in this opening 45 minutes and attack Canada's at the right here at Stade Saputo. Canada in all black, defending right and attacking left in half number 1. We're underway from Stade Saputo tonight on Fox Sports 2. Great to have you along with us. My name is Adam Jenkins. Liam Miller finds a little bit of space in behind Chidozie Ogbene. Captain Eustáquio. Derek Cornelius. Alistair Johnston, one of a few players that knows this pitch well. Stade Saputo, the former CF Montrealer, before his big move out to Celtic. Tajon Buchanan, Johnston. Canada encroaching towards the box. Buchanan's early shot forces a good save from Travers. Second phase, cross from the wing. Miller couldn't reel it in. Richie Laryea hustles over the Toronto FC left back. Eustáquio. Laryea just off, wanted Kyle Larin making the run into the box. Miller collects the loose ball. Liam Miller, his cross in for Jonathan David. First attempt from the Ottawa product, and he puts it into the seats. 2 minutes in, positive start for Jesse Marsh's side. Of course, Jesse Marsh, his connections to Montreal run deep. He dusted off the Francais the other day at the pre-match press conference. Coached here, it was really his first professional gig after retiring in 2009, joining Montreal Impact 2011 and 2012 before stops with New York Red Bulls. Red Bulls Salzburg, Leipzig, his Premier League stint with Leeds United before taking over as Canada head coach in 2024. Ndaba. Watford's James Abankwah. Cornelius steps, mistimed, then Laryea. High lofted sliced ball into touch. And Heimir Hallgrimsson, the Icelandic manager of Iceland, pardon me, of Ireland. The 58-year-old who is not on his first national team job. Coached Jamaica from 2022 through 2024, so no stranger to CONCACAF. And coached his native Iceland from 2013 through 2018 and brings a wealth of European experience to this group. Connor Coventry. Couldn't find either Jay Nume or Ogbene. Troy Parrott has his first attempt blocked. Quite the scenes for Troy Parrott back in November as Ireland were still looking to push towards World Cup qualification. Scored an incredible goal that certainly brought the country's knowledge of the budding young striker. Dublin even infamously and cheekily changed the name of their airport to Troy Parrott International. Troy said to the media shortly after the renaming, albeit temporary, said it's a shame that that's not the permanent name. I don't know that I've done quite enough for that to be the case just yet. So, but that sign is still somewhere inside the terminal. Can't imagine not chuckling every time you see your name in big bold letters traveling to represent your country. Parrott switches the pitch. Collected by Seamus Coleman. 37 years old. He is the only player in his 30s in the starting 11, which clears the field by about a decade. Istakio. Luke de Fougerolles with Dender in Belgium on loan from Fulham. 20-year-old born in London, England. Representing Canada on the national stage for the 13th time. Tejan Buchanan trying to create something despite the best efforts of Ndaba. That's out for a Canadian corner. Despite rampant opportunities, no open play goals for Canada against the Uzbeks. Bit of a rarity for them to get both of their second half goals from open play. Buchanan makes the run short to the flag. Istakio. Montreal's Ismail Kone. Crossed into the box, a header from de Fougerolles, not on target. Solid opportunity for Canada. That's the second productive trip they've had into the opponent's defensive third. Really nice run from Jonathan David as well. Had that ball been just a bit under hit, would have been a different reaction from the 52-year-old native of Racine, Wisconsin. Cornelius, mistake. Gives Ireland possession. From Ajax, Ontario, representing Olympique Marseille and Ligue 1. Parrott. Ndaba. Rume had his hands full with de Fougerolles. Johnston comes to help, but ends up in possession. Johnston looking long. Kyle Larin buoyed by his big contract announcement today with Southampton. Liam Miller finds his way into the box, cuts over onto his right, tries to wrap it. Lots for Jesse Marsh to like. The Canadians coursing with confidence in Quebec. No doubt a significantly nicer evening than what we had. Single-digit temperatures, torrential rain at Commonwealth Stadium and Play Alberta Fields earlier in the international window. About 27 degrees warmer when you factor in the humidity. It is muggy. Parrott continues to apply good pressure, causing the Canadian center backs to be unsettled. Then led into the box, Crépeau's out, and then it's pinballing around off both Cornelius and Johnston and just stays out. Crépeau got a piece, and then Cornelius, who had a friendly fire incident with Moise Bombito early in the first half as well, the last time out. Looking like he's a bit out of rhythm, and I'm sure that that is something that is being murmured about Stade Saputo. Troy Parrott seems to be in all kinds of discomfort here. Not sure if it's quite knee on knee, but he certainly got spun around by Richie Larea. Massaging just underneath the shin guard, and I'm here. Hallgrimsson's thinking, I don't know that I have an out-and-out 9 to replace him. Most experienced outfield player on the bench is Liam Scales on just 15 caps. Nothing the freezing spray and a little blue Gatorade can't solve. Four-year-old Dubliner. After 2017 with Belvedere, moved to Tottenham Hotspur. 2 appearances there before loans out to Millwall, Ipswich Town, MK Dons, Preston North End, and Excelsior. He has been with AZ. And apologies in advance to my American friends and viewers tonight. It is AZ in this part of the world. That is, of course, Alkmaar in the Eredivisie. Chick O'Brien's toss on Bennett. Searching for the ball. It is last off the Irish right winger. Parrott's going to try to grit it out, but he is hobbling. Cornelius wins his aerial duel.
Tio! Support! Jamie, support!
Bennett had fared decently well on Richie LeRae until Eustachio came by to assist. Ismail Kone, a wonder kid. He's beloved in Montreal, and the career that so many in this city believe he's going to have. From a Canadian supporter's vantage point, the relief you would hear when you spoke to the Voyageurs about the fact he finally felt settled at Sassuolo. Much less drama. Seemed like he turned a page. You wonder what the next big move might be for Kone. Justin Devoy. Buchanan, quite the tussle on the touchline. That's off the Canadian winger. And you can get used to that, James Abenkwa. That's the type of match you're in for. Fortunate enough, the arm of Troy Parrott brings out the referee's whistle. Not even a helping hand. No love lost between those two, evidently. Time and space for Cornelius. Popped up the first touch. Line of 6 abreast for Canada just outside the box. Kone. De Fougerolles. Right to left and back again. Buchanan. Not enough left on the cross this time, and is that off the arm of Parrots for a second time in about 90 seconds.
He's talking to the player.
Miller off balance as he rounded the corner. Ireland weren't happy with how fast Canada took that restart. They're arguing that Parrott was speaking to the referee. Canada were never told to wait for the whistle. Miller trying to make the most of his minutes as Jacob Schaffelberg looks to return to some level of match fitness before the World Cup finals begin next week. He was seen jogging around the pitch as part of his return to play protocol. Schaffelberg, affectionately nicknamed the Maritime Messi in his hometown of Kentville, Nova Scotia. Seventeenth minute here at Stade Saputo. The second opponent in a row that Canada need to try to find a way to solve the compact block. It has been one of the biggest struggles they've had in the Marsh era. They are athletic, they are fast, they can press. But when they're frustrated, they're waiting for that key. Laren, arm in the back and pushed over by Nathan Collins. Winning a free kick in a good spot. Both arms in the back and an extension. Stefan Eustaquio, right arm raised, eyes in the box, goes short. Kone, he's gonna shoot. Something off the training ground, but maybe needs to stay there for another day or two. Kone looked surprised by the pass, didn't have a great first touch. Shot was in the same vein. Kone hustling back, stealing the ball for Canada in midfield. Shrugs off Parrott a couple of times and then sends in Buchanan. Tajon Buchanan wanted Kyle Laren, who wanted the ball at the back post so he could run on and finish. Ironing out some wrinkles, Les Rouges. They are Les Noirs tonight. Outswinger from Eustaquio. Nathan Collins, without much resistance, gets the defensive header. Switch round, played in left-footed by Eustaquio. And then Eustaquio's header to the zone of the pitch where you typically find the last man back off a corner. Miller and Larea were fanned out wide.
Trophy in a week's time. It's an unprecedented port of call for this Argentina team. Legendary Jordan Hare Stadium here in Auburn, Alabama. I'm with Alejandro Moreno, and a chance for some of Argentina's squad members to make an impression today, Ali, as we look at this starting 11.
Yeah, already players that made a good impression in the game they played earlier this past week. Valentin Barco was one of those players that looked good against Honduras, but it's an opportunity for Nico Paz, who had such a great season at Como and supposed to be the heir apparent to Lionel Messi. We'll see what he does with that chance today.
Well, this is the storied home of the Auburn Tigers, tonight welcoming Lionel Messi in Argentina as they take on Iceland. It's the first ever international friendly in this stadium. And as we mentioned, a massive night for some of Argentina's squad members. 4 changes for them tonight from the team that beat Honduras on Saturday by 2-0. In our pre-game studio, you heard Stuart Robson worrying a little bit, Ali, about the age of Nicolas Otamendi at the heart of that Argentine defence. He's there wearing number 19, captaining Argentina at the age of 38, and he'll have some young Icelandic strikers to go up against tonight, primarily number 9, Ori Oskarsson, who's really caught the eye in Spain.
Yeah, he has. And in terms of Otamendi chasing around young strikers, I think Nicolas Otamendi is having difficulties chasing all strikers. It's actually surprising that Otamendi is still featuring for the Argentina national team and could very well feature in that first match against Algeria. Credit to him, but man, where is the next generation of center backs for Argentina? I suppose that Cristian Romero would take that place if he were healthy. We'll see if he'll be ready and fit to go for that first game against Algeria.
So of those changes for Coach Lionel Scaloni tonight, 2 of them coming up front. It's all change in the attack with Jose Lopez getting the start. El Flaco and Nico Paz also partnering him. So no place for Lautaro Martinez either tonight from the start. Also a change in goal with Geronimo Rulli taking over. So all set for action. Last stop for Argentina. There's been so much talk about how difficult it is to defend a World Cup trophy, and certainly history tells us that. That is exactly what they will set out to do in a week's time when the World Cup gets underway for them in Kansas City. But for tonight, so much to enjoy here at Jordan Hare Stadium. They were closing in on a capacity sellout, close to 87,000 here, and so many Argentina fans have travelled for far and wide. Perhaps an early indication as to whether we're going to see similar scenes as to those we saw in Qatar 3.5 years ago, when it seemed like the whole country of Argentina had made the trip to Qatar, Alec.
You know full well that Argentina will travel, and they will support this team. And we saw it ourselves 12 years ago in Brazil, how much the Argentina fans were supporting this team. And it wouldn't be a surprise that they're going to be essentially the home team anywhere they play in the World Cup. We'll see how far this team goes. They seem to have everything in place to be one of those that is called upon to be a favorite going into the tournament. Will they have enough magic in them, and will Lionel Messi have enough magic in him in order to make a deep, deep run?
It is certainly one of many tantalizing questions swirling around and run into the start of the tournament, which is just 2 days away. Argentina won't kick off until a week from tonight in Kansas City. And they will play Algeria. Iceland, of course, will be watching the World Cup from their armchairs. It's a team and a small nation that stunned the soccer world, reaching the quarter-finals of Euro 2016 and then qualified for their first and only World Cup in 2018. At that time,
they'll be sitting in the same couch as my beloved home country of Venezuela watching the World Cup. It's a comfortable couch, let me tell you.
Yeah, a wide couch.
Very wide.
Only natural There's going to be some drop-off from the heights that Iceland reached. Smallest country ever to qualify for a World Cup. That record, of course, has since been smashed. As we're going to welcome Curacao to these shores. Argentina playing in a college football stadium. Second time in 4 nights after their journey to College Station to beat Honduras on Saturday. It's a fairly comfortable win for them. Ali, I know you saw that game as they're on the attack here. Initial shot was charged down. And then the follow-up from Jose Lopez. Here's Giovanni Lo Celso. Lo Celso maintaining his place in the starting lineup. Iceland able to thwart the threat and launch a counter-attack themselves. This is Albert Gudmundsson on the move. Up against Hiei, the standing right back, and a chance for Iceland. What a ball in that was. Somehow there was no touch on it. Ellertson arriving.
Ellerson sets up his run to the back post, and Gudmundsson puts it into a dangerous area. It is poor defending from Hiei to begin with, and poor defending at the back post, and quite frankly, Adrian Healy, that is indeed my kind of range. Is a tap in for Ellerson, unable to get his foot on the ball in a way that he could make the contact to keep it down. Goes high on him, and it is a miss for Iceland. Wasted opportunity.
We welcome those of you joining us on ESPN. Argentina against Iceland, the first ever international friendly here at legendary Jordan Hare Stadium, the home of the Auburn Tigers. In the heart of Alabama, Adrian Healy and Alejandro Moreno with you. Haven't missed too much. You missed a glaring opportunity for Mikael Ellertson and Iceland to take a shot early lead. We're still trying to digest that, Ali, quite how he missed.
But it's the profile of attack that can hurt Argentina when you're thinking about where are they vulnerable going into the World Cup. They lose the ball in an advanced area, one ball forward, Gudmundsson in a 1v1 situation, poor defending from Hiei in a wide area, poor defending at the back post, and it should have been a goal for Ellerson and Iceland.
Changed looking front line for Argentina today, trying to connect there. The ball over the top for Barco. Here is Lionel Scaloni, the 4th youngest to win a World Cup in history, and the youngest since 1978, when another great Argentine, Cesar Luis Menotti, lifted the trophy on home soil. Argentina, when you look at the odds makers, seem to be right around 4th or 5th place. Ali, in terms of the odds, do you think that's fair with France and Spain, the front runners?
If everybody's at their best, and let's assume that they're gonna be, then it seems about right in terms of where Argentina should be. And it's not just about whether they can recapture the magic of 2022, whether they have the same element of good fortune and where the ball bounces in off the post instead of bouncing out, which are some of the things that you need in order to win a tournament like the World Cup. Besides all of that, then you have history going against you. Let's not forget that the last time a team was able to repeat as World Cup champion was all the way back in 1962. Brazil, 58 and 62, and it's only happened twice in history. Italy, the other one in 1934, 1938. So history is not on the side of Argentina, and that's why perhaps you look at it and go, yeah, they're one of the favorites, but not quite as high as they might have been.
Yeah. Currently ranked number 3 in the world by FIFA, and up against a team at 72 places lower than tonight in Iceland.
It's just hard. It's hard to win the World Cup once. It's hard to win it back to back. a lot of things have to go your way. And most of all, you're going to have outstanding performances